Today, Dorian is going to take you on a wild ride through Figma's auto layout functionality. We're going to turn that snooze fest of a layout you've got into something that's actually responsive. That's me, baby. Before we dive into this design, make sure you've got the Figma file ready. As you can see, this Figma file is about as organized as a frat house after a kegger. No groups, no auto layouts, just a bunch of design elements scattered around like a bunch of lost puppies. First things first, we need to wrangle that arrow and button text. Select those bad boys and hit that auto layout button like it owes you money. Now, let's ditch that rectangle stroke behind it. It's about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. We adjust the padding for left and right, then top and bottom to match the original rectangle. Then, we match the stroke thickness and the corner radius as well. Boom, clean and mean. Okay, now let's tackle those stars. Select the whole lot and slap them into an auto layout. Figma's smart enough to figure out we want them horizontal, so we'll let it do its thing. We also need to create an auto layout for the stars and the review text. This value controls the space between elements inside the auto layout. We're going to create a mega auto layout and throw in all three title elements. It's going to be huge. We're going to tackle this side section with the product information next. Remember, we're starting from the smallest elements and working our way to the largest. It's like building a skyscraper, but with pixels instead of steel. As you can see here, simply grouping elements in auto layouts does not, in fact, make them responsive. For that, we need to click into the text layers and make sure that their widths are set to fill. Then, we also need to make the width of the auto layout that contains the two text layers to fill container as well. Bam! There you have it, you design demigods. A responsive benefit box that'll make your clients drool. Now, we're going to rinse and repeat for the rest of these benefit boxes. I know it's about as exciting as watching paint dry, but I had to endure it, so you will too. It's good practice to always check if it works before moving on, so do it. Once we're done, you guessed it. We're going to put these three inside an auto layout. We're not done yet. There's another step we need to take before this big auto layout is responsive. We also have to change the width for each of the three smaller auto layout groups to fill container. Smooth like butter, slick like a whistle. You guys are starting to get the hang of this. Let's work on these boxes. First thing we need to do is make sure the check mark and the circle it sits on are grouped together. We then add the rounded rectangle and the checkmark group to an auto layout. This looks broken now because the auto layout wants to stack these two items together. Because we want the checkmark to sit on the top right corner of the rectangle, we need to click on Ignore Auto Layout so that we can freely move it inside the auto layout. We pin it to the top right corner using the controls here. We can then drag it while holding the spacebar so that we don't accidentally pull it out of the auto layout frame. Next, select the two other boxes and the auto layout frame with the original box and group them together inside a new, you know the drill by now. Now, to make this section truly responsive, we're going to introduce a new trick up our sleeves. Hit that wrap mode in the auto layout properties panel. It's like giving your design superpowers. In this pricing section, we can actually wrap the price inside an auto layout and create the right border as a stroke. For this, we need to change the padding on the right side separately. We're gonna tackle this button now. It's like deja vu, but hey, who doesn't love a good sequel? Remember, we've done this dance before, so let's show this button who's boss. Remember, creating an auto layout on a text layer allows you to add a fill color, and by controlling the padding and the roundness of the corners, you can create a button that always adapts in size to the text inside the auto layout. Now the favorites is going to be a piece of cake. Just grab that icon and text and slap them into an auto layout. It's like magic, but without the cheesy smoke and mirrors. Grab them all and put them into a big fat auto layout. To have different spacing between the button and favorites, we select those two and add them inside a new auto layout. This way, we can have a custom value between them while not affecting the larger auto layout. In order to make this section responsive, we change the large auto layout to wrap mode. It works since inside the large auto layout, we basically have two items: the price and the grouped up button and favorites. Since we're done with the smaller bits in the right column, we need a big auto layout to stuff them all into. Now here is something really important for you to remember. When you click and drag to create a text box in Figma, it will create it in fixed size mode. This is a huge issue when using auto layout. As you can see, with this mode, auto layout has no idea that your text box breaks into multiple lines when you resize the frame. If you stick with that fixed size mode, you'll end up with a layout that looks like it was designed by a drunken monkey. Text will be overlapping, things won't align, and it'll be about as visually appealing as a dumpster fire. Trust me, you don't want that. So always put text in the auto height mode. It's going to save your butts from a whole lot of headaches down the road. Now let's fix these other responsive issues by making sure that all big auto layout containers inside the huge auto layout container have their widths set to fill container. All right, I get it. This whole nested auto layouts thing can be about as clear as mud. It's like trying to herd cats, but instead of cats, it's pixels. And instead of herding, you're trying to make them behave in a layout. But trust me, once you get the hang of it, it's as easy as pie. Now, let's move on to the images section. I'm going to shut my trap for a bit and see if you can figure this one out on your own. Don't worry, it's nothing new. Just a little test to see if you've been paying attention. I'm still going to show you how I do it, but try to do it on your own. Show me what you've got. Before you get too comfortable, let me throw in a curveball. To take your responsiveness to the next level, you can use the add min or max width inputs. It's like giving your designs a safety net so they never look squished, no matter how much you stretch or shrink them. This one might be a bit tricky. But hey, who said becoming a design ninja was easy? Consider it an optional bonus in this tutorial. We'll cover this one in a future video. Now, we group the two columns together. Why ignore the title group? Because we always want to group the horizontal or wrap type auto layouts first. Next, instead of selecting the title and content layouts and creating a new auto layout, we can simply change the main frame to auto layout instead. This gives us the ability to make it expand or collapse based upon the content inside it. Makes it perfect to adapt it to mobile view without a hitch. Next, let's make sure all the auto layouts inside this humongous auto layout have their widths set to fill container. It's like giving them a growth spurt, but without the awkward teenage years. To make it even better, we set the content auto layout to wrap. And there you have it, a design that's as responsive as a chameleon on a disco ball. What the hell? I set the min width to something dumb here, so now it won't allow it to shrink. Easy fix. You didn't see this, right? Dorian doesn't make mistakes. If anyone tells you otherwise, they're either blind or they're trying to sell you a bridge. I'm the master of design mayhem, and my layouts are always on point. So, if you see something that looks off, it's probably just your eyes playing tricks on you. Now, go forth and hit those like and subscribe buttons if any of this helped you at all.